Look at a hot mess. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I just figured I would do just a quick tutorial because I'm currently getting ready for work. And I'm just gonna do a medium coverage but skin-like finish, and I figured I would show you guys how I do that today. So this is gonna be a little step up than what I would normally do every day. But I figured I'd bring you guys along with me. I currently am having some breakouts. I just had like a reaction to one of the primers that I was using, and so I figured, okay, I have some things to cover today. I figured I would just show you guys and how I would tackle this situation. So this is going to be very just base focused. So I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew primer, and the reason I'm doing that is because I was using like acne treatment and now my skin's a little bit dry over here, and I don't really have a dewy primer as discussed in my like inventory. The one dewy primer that I do have that I just bought is the Glossier Future Dew, and that's what broke me out. So unfortunately, I was really looking forward to that one. I mentioned this in every video, but I do have just like bigger pores. They're not really pores, they're like acne scars that are like bigger. I don't know what they're called, but for that I'm just gonna smooth it over with this NYX pore filler targeted stick. So I'm just like, I want that other primer to kind of really dry down, and it did sink in quickly. And then I'm not gonna go over like the blemish for obvious reasons. I just don't want to contaminate everything. How I always start my base is I always go in with the under eye corrector. So this is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in light medium. As you can see, it's a well-loved product, and I'm tapping it really gently just in like the inner portion of my eye, because that's where I have like most of that darkness. If I'd probably just drank some more and got better sleep, I wouldn't have that, but here we are. So now that I have that laid down, I am going to go in and I'm going to cover, just spot conceal some of these. And for that, I'm actually going to go in with this Pro palette that I have, and you can go in with your like most loved concealer, Cinema Secrets, and a really good one that people use, like something in, they usually come in pots, so you could even use like a paint pot if you wanted your concealer, something that's closer to your skin tone. People always go in with a green color corrector. You could do that too to cancel out the redness. I just like to go in with something peachy because technically it is a little bit darker than my skin, so I just want to lighten it up. And this is a personal use product now. I'm taking it out of my kit, so I'm just going to swirl my finger into a couple of these shades, probably the first three. Okay. Now when you're concealing spots, you want to keep that saturated. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to put the pigment down and then just kind of spread it all out and thin it out, because we're obviously wanting to cover that, and so we want to keep that pigmentation. So I'm just tapping it literally like in the same area. So might as well do these. These are just old marks that don't go away. Okay, so I know I look crazy, but that's okay, trust the process. So you see how they're still there, obviously I still have that texture, but they're a little bit more concealed. I'm gonna go in with my more like medium higher coverage foundation, which I spoke about this so many times on my channel, and that is the Vanessa Meyer Vision Cream Cover. Now this stuff is really pigmented, so you have to be careful. It doesn't get that great of reviews because what I've seen is a lot of people tend to use way too much of the stuff, and when you use too much of something, it gets cakey. And so, sorry, I'm looking in my drawer, but a key way to kind of keep this more skin-like I love to do, and I have had more like oily skin, and this has worked for me when I was oily, and now that I'm more like combination leaning dry, and I'm gonna go in with the Vanessa Meyer Beauty Oil. So I'm gonna mix these two together. I'm gonna show you how much that I'm using. I usually go in with a brush. I don't really have any clean brushes, foundation brushes today, so I'm actually gonna go in with a sponge, which I almost never do. It's just a preference thing. But sponges soak up more product, so this might be just a little more than I usually do. I usually do like half a pump, and this was like more 2/3. Okay. And then I'm going to take my oil. Oh gosh. Okay, so I did 2, and I have 1 running down my finger. Okay. So 2 drops, 1.5 is good. You don't want to go too crazy. I mean, unless you're really dry, more oil you do, the more it's going to thin it out. And I'm just literally mixing it on the back of my hand, like both products together. And then I'm taking my finger and I'm swiping. Just to get it off my finger, honestly. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with my dampened beauty sponge. And I'm going to tap it in. A brush, like that would be enough to get it all on the half of my face. This was not, that's okay, because I'm not really going for something crazy. Like, I don't care if my acne seeps through a little bit. I just wanted it more concealed than what it looked. Okay. Now I'm just taking the sponge right into the foundation, and I'm going over the areas where I want just a little more coverage, which is obviously right around here. And I'm just taking it all over and down, like what's left of it. Where I'm currently like breaking out, I am still gonna go in with like a bronzer and stuff so that we'll get covered with those items. So I don't want to keep building up and get cakey. I just want to keep working in light layers. Okay, so that's in there. So I really like to like press everything in, get the ears, all that. Okay, let's go in with concealer. And I have been trying out the NYX Bear With Me concealer because it has really great reviews. And I noticed one pump is a little too much, so I'm gonna try to keep it light. And this color is actually closer to my skin tone, but that's okay. And I'm actually gonna go in with the sponge, which again is something I never really do. I feel like we're trying this like out together. I used to do my makeup like this all the time, like only a sponge. Brighten up the chin a little bit. And whatever's left goes on the forehead. Okay, and I feel like that small pump did a lot. You could still see I could probably go in with a little bit more coverage, just right in here. This is the e.l.f. brightening stick, and this is exactly what I use it for, just to like brighten up. And so I'm just gonna go in, and this stuff is really light, but I'm just gonna go in really lightly with that. And I'm gonna bring it down the nose to kind of like highlight a little bit. See? And then whatever's left on my forehead. And then we're just gonna dab. So a trick too, if you want like a lighter coverage concealer but you want more coverage out of it, something that you can do that I did not do is when you place it wherever you would like to conceal, let it sit for a little bit. So like work on your eyebrows or bronzer or something and then come back to that. When you let it sit, as long as it's not like one of those quick drying like super matte ones like Tarte Shape Tape or the new like Jaclyn Hill one from what I heard, as long as like you let it sit, it'll kind of get some tack and then it'll be a little more fuller coverage. It'll give you more coverage than going in with something full or like an extra layer like I just did. Next we are going to go in with bronzer. I am going to go in, I'm going to pull out my Vanessa Meyer today. I'm going to go in with the Vanessa Meyer Balm Contour in Light 1. And this is kind of like bronzer contour hybrid. And I am just going to grab Ultra Precision foundation brush. Don't look at it, it's not clean. I used it yesterday. Okay. And I am just going to bronze up my face. You see how the tone is not like crazy warm? It's more like an olive. At least this shade is. I like that because it does, I feel like, give like dimension. See? So I'm just gonna pat that in. I like to get it into my hairline. I like to focus the majority of it, obviously, on my cheeks because that's where I like more definition. And then whatever's left, just a little bit on my forehead because I don't feel like I have that big of a forehead that I really need it. But I just do it kind of for more cohesiveness, to be honest. I love a defined jawline. You see how I go really light when picking up product, and I just make it like I just stretch it. We don't need to go all crazy and heavy, just a little something is noticeable. And then if you're using a brush, just go in with the brush that you used that had your had your foundation on it. And if you're using a sponge, just grab your sponge and just go over. And I just like to go over like the edges, you know? And same thing, so next up, I'm just gonna go in with blush. And I don't know, I've been using this Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Bliss quite a lot. Like when I first got it, I wasn't that big of a fan, and now I think I just really like the color. Like when I don't know what blush I want to go over it with, because I usually go over everything with powder, I go with this because I feel like it's so versatile. I don't know. It's like pink, but it's not cool. I don't know. A lot of people say it's cool. I think it's kind of warmer. I always focus my blush more on the higher points of my cheeks because I'm trying to lift my face. And I know a lot of people say smile, see? But then when you stop smiling, it goes down. So really you're dragging your face down when you do that method. So I always put the blush where I want it, or a little above. But it really just depends on what you're going for. There's no rules to makeup, just techniques and theories. Like if you wanted a more flush look, you could totally go like over the nose like that, you know, and get like a really flushed look. So those are all my creams. So it may seem like I'm doing like a lot of steps, but I like to work, as you can see, in like really light layers. And because I have like a long work day, I just like to set everything with powders. I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Filter. As you can see, I love this stuff. And especially when I have like not the best skin days, I go for this one because it's a little more forgiving, like blurring, I think. So it softens the skin a little bit more. But if you're just having like a good skin day, you know, and you want to set, I feel like any powder, any translucent powder would be great. If you wanted a little more coverage, you can go in with a powder that has like some coverage to it too. So like the Maybelline Fit Me, they do have like shades that you can get, like light, medium, dark, deep, you know, whatever your you know, skin type is. Same thing, or skin tone, skin color. Same thing with like MAC, but you can go with a powder that's like a little more fuller coverage just to add some more. And then when you go in with a fluffy brush like that, you get like a lighter dusting instead of going in with something really dense. It's gonna add a lot of powder, because I like to work in a lot of layers. I don't like I like to go lightly, because when you're adding too much, then it becomes cakey and weird. Okay, so you see I just did it really lightly, and then I'm gonna go under my eyes. So first I'm gonna look in my mirror. Okay, so I have to like show you guys this, because usually like I get like a crease. You see that right there, but it's usually a lot worse. So I like this concealer for the simple fact that it didn't crease that bad on me. So tap it out, tap, and then same thing. There we go. Okay, so we're good from that. And then next, let's go in with some bronzer. I'm gonna keep the theme going with my Charlotte Tilbury. I really like my Makeup by Mario bronzer better, but I feel like this is like the same kind of formula as the powder, so it's more blurring. And so I just want all the blurring I can get today. So I'm gonna use that. And I'm just swirling it around. My bronzer hit like hard pan, so I have to go just a little extra to pick up the product. And then I'm just going to set just where we had that bronzer, like where we set it down, or I guess the contour. Oh, contour. Lightly tapping. I'm gonna buff this out later, so I know that generally I'm gonna apply a little more, because when I buff it down, it's gonna take some of that color away. The reason for my buffing technique is just for blurring effects. So if I didn't have much to blur, I wouldn't even worry about that. I just want to keep everything kind of neutral today. I am going to go in with the MAC So Natural. It's the Glow Play blush, and It looks like this. It's newer to my collection, so I'm actually just excited to be trying it out. And I feel like it's like a powder cream hybrid. I don't know, it's a weird texture. But there it is. I don't know if I picked up too much because this is like my first time really applying it, so I'm just dabbing it a little bit onto my hand to either just really work it on the brush and then get the excess off. And again, I'm just following like right on top of that bronzer. When there's like barely anything left on the brush, I literally just go on my temples and my chin. Temples, chin, and then maybe like a little bit on the bridge of the nose. You see like there's barely anything on my brush, but it just gives a little something. Again, I just really like cohesiveness. I'm just going in with a little bit more because I do feel like I can build this up a little bit. And as you can see, like I'm working really lightly, like I'm barely touching the brush to my face just to give it like a soft wash of color. Okay, so now I'm going to do that buffing technique that I told you guys about before we go on with highlighter. For that, I'm going to use my Chantecaille, sorry, Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. And it's very well loved, but this is like the most blurring powder ever. And I just love it just to go over. So the techniques that I use for this, because obviously my face is powdered, so I don't need like that much everywhere. But I like to just go over like where my acne scars are to try to blur it out more, and then I just go over the edges of like everything we did to kind of just give that seamless blend. But you see how I just kind of blended everything in, and we look like we have like the no makeup look going on, but we did do something. Okay, I think we started. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm gonna actually pull my bronzer back out, and I'm gonna take a fluffy brush and I'm just gonna clean it off. But I'm going into my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, which is the bronzer we used, and I am just gonna throw this in the crease. Then I'm bringing it all the way out so that it kind of just blends into the skin and everything else. So it doesn't look like I just put like bronzer in my eyes, eye look, but it just looks like the shadow kind of belongs there with the rest of my face. You can even bring it a little bit under. And then let's go in with highlighter. And I'm gonna go in with my favorite powder highlighter, which is the Clinique Lunar Pop. It is Powder Pop Flower Highlighter in Lunar Pop. And I'm just going a little crazy with it because I just want like a nice glow. And this is like one of those highlighters that just blends in so nice to your skin. Just do a little bit on the inner corner of each eye just to brighten up that area. Just kind of natural. It's nothing like beaming. We don't have a like line down our face or anything. It's just like a nice glow, which is exactly what I was going for today. And so for brows, I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. Wow Brow in Natural Brown, and I'm literally just gonna comb it through. Like I'm not gonna do anything extra. I have to look in my mirror for this, but that's it. I could probably just go in with like a brow gel, and while that dries, I'm just gonna go in with mascara. My favorite mascara is the Bite Beauty. As of right now, like I really loved it when I first got it, and as mascara dries out, you know, it only gets better. But I find that this one is like really dried out, and it hasn't been 3 months because I like to get rid of my mascaras every 3 months for sanitary reasons. But I don't know, that kind of is like messy with my view of this. But I'm gonna go ahead and actually put on my mascara, and then I'll be back because I have to like look in the mirror to do this, and it's kind of hard to do it in the camera, to be honest. Okay, so I'm back. Mascara's on. As you can see, I got a little on my lid, but I left it there because I wanted to show you guys, because I feel like that's a regular occurrence for everyone, so I wanted to show you guys how to take that off. So let's go ahead and do the lips first. I'm going to go in with ColourPop BFF, and ColourPop has really pretty colors, but they're pencils. Like they dry out, they fall out. I don't know. So they're not my favorite, but this is what I have when I'm going with. What I'm going for is like something more natural. So for a more powdery lip without having a contour underneath, I go a little out of line, just right here in the middle of my lip and on top, so bottom and top. I go a little over. You see my lips just look bigger than what they actually are. Okay, and then you can fill in with liner if you want to. Just being lazy right now, honestly. So then I'm gonna go in with my favorite like purse like lipstick, because I'll be bringing this with me, and this is like a no fuss, you don't have to look in the mirror. Look how pretty it is. This is Glossier Lucite. I love this stuff, and don't be afraid because I know it looks really light. It's so good. See? And it gives you that shine, but it's also moisturizing, so I feel like I have like lip balm. And so let's go ahead and scrape off this mascara that we got. It should be dry now. But you just take a spoolie and it dries, so you literally just flick it off. It's that easy. But yeah, this is the finished look. This is like my get ready with me to go to work. No makeup, but doing a little extra. So this is like not light coverage. This is definitely medium coverage. But as you can see, it still looks very skin-like. But you can still see like my imperfections through it. It's just more subtle. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're interested in more tutorials and tips and tricks, keep on following me because I do plan on doing more of that. So I appreciate you. Bye.